Collecting student artifacts and creating various types of portfolios can help a professional learning community understand student growth and realize what changes need to be made in order to increase student achievement. Student artifacts should be collected when completing lessons. When a teacher completes a lesson, they can gather student work to determine how well the students are understanding the particular outcomes that the teacher wishes them to be able to do by the end of the lesson. Students can also reflect on the strategies the teachers used to help them understand the lesson content and provide feedback to the teacher about how these strategies are working to help them improve their learning. Artifacts can also include individual and group projects. Student achievement data is another example of an artifact that can be included during professional learning communities, and so that these teachers can develop an understanding of what the data means. While looking at the data, it is important to identify student strengths and weaknesses. Reflections of the student work can help teachers look specifically at what needs students have within their classroom. These artifacts help teachers in their professional learning communities develop action steps for the future of their teaching. There are many types of portfolios that teachers can use during professional learning communities to determine student achievement and student growth. Two of the types of portfolios that teachers can use are teacher portfolios and student portfolios. To begin, teacher portfolios allow teachers to house student work by standards. Each teacher can create a portfolio, whether it is a hard copy or online, of student work by each standard. By creating this student work by standards, the teachers can look at standards that they're strong in as well as their students are strong in, and standards that they are weak in or their students are weak in. We can also look at student trends when looking at student work in a teacher's portfolio. By looking at a specific lesson and all the student work for that lesson, teachers can reflect on their teaching techniques and whether they approach the lesson in an appropriate manner. Teacher portfolios also allow teachers to develop further steps for improvement in their teaching techniques. Next, student portfolios are a great way for students to be in charge of their work. This allows students to place work by themselves into a hard copy or digital portfolio so that they can demonstrate their learning and growth. Students can share this with their teachers and with their parents in order to express their learning and the types of achievement that they have accomplished. Students can also look at their work in order to create goals and objectives for themselves, and teachers can reflect on these goals and objectives to see if they align with the goals and objectives they wish for this student. Students can also collect items from all subject areas in these portfolios, and they can be reflective in their own work. These reflections then can help teachers in professional learning communities determine how well students are working towards their goals, towards their objectives, and making growth in their learning. Whether teachers decide to use teacher portfolios, student portfolios, or even team portfolios, professional learning communities can learn a lot from these portfolios. To begin, the professional learning community can work on understanding what students know from these lessons. If students are not getting to the outcome that they need to by the end of the lesson, then the teacher needs to evaluate their instructional strategies. This may mean that the instructional strategies need to be revised and looked at closer in order to help student learning increase. By looking at student work from each lesson or in each standard area, teachers can analyze student learning and determine areas of strength and areas of weakness. Also, teachers may find that some of the issues that they come across in their classroom is something that they cannot solve. Therefore, they might discuss with their team ways that they could find professional development to meet their needs. Collaboration is also a tool that professional learning communities can use in order to enhance their reflections of student achievement and student learning. By providing students with feedback and ensuring this feedback is consistent among grade level teams, students will be able to improve their learning and understand what the teacher expects of them. It is also important for teachers to take the time to determine what the student needs are and what challenges these students are facing. It might be challenges that the teacher needs to address rather than the student. Overall, they can evaluate and summarize the trends within student work to determine if any changes need to be made immediately or within their instructional strategies in the future. Overall, by looking at the depth of knowledge and the rigor of the different student work, teachers can understand whether they are meeting student needs and challenging them at an appropriate level. By capitalizing on each teacher's strengths by working in professional learning communities, teachers have the chance to look at specific data from student work and increase student achievement within the entire school. While looking at student artifacts and student portfolios in the professional learning communities, teachers can determine what students have needs and which students maybe need to be pushed a little bit harder. This allows teachers to develop a response to intervention system that'll work well to meet all the needs of all the students. And the first thing that teachers must do is analyze data carefully. When analyzing the data carefully, they can determine trends among students and they can group students based on their specific needs. While looking at this data, teachers also need to make sure that they work with their colleagues to ensure that groups are flexible and change as needed. It is important that students do not stay in a group that does not meet their needs. All students need to be challenged at their level, and therefore teachers must work in their professional learning communities to analyze the data and communicate with all staff members that are working with each student. Also, through progress monitoring, teachers can determine if the interventions are working and they can make changes as necessary so that all students receive immediate feedback and immediate intervention. Finally, it is important for teachers to work together in their professional learning communities to create a schedule that meets the needs of all students, so all students have the opportunity to be successful and achieve at higher levels. In conclusion, student artifacts and student portfolios are a great way for teachers to reflect on teaching techniques. By working in a professional learning community, teachers have each other to help determine the teaching techniques that they are using and which ones best serve their students. Teachers can work together to look at these student artifacts to analyze student growth and achievement. Teachers use personal portfolios, team portfolios, and student portfolios to drive their instruction and help each other determine how to meet the needs of all their students. Teachers can use these artifacts and portfolios to discuss challenges and strengths with the students as well as with the colleagues and the parents. Teachers can use the artifacts and portfolios to document student work and intervention plans that they are using to help meet the needs of each individual student. Teachers can use these artifacts and portfolios during professional learning communities to discuss data and to improve student learning so that students throughout the entire school have the opportunity to increase their achievement and to succeed in their future.